They didn't stop thinking about you. They didn't forget you. And deep down, you know that. You can feel it in your bones, that pull, that unfinished energy, that lingering tension that doesn't quite let you move on. But here's what's really eating at you. If they miss you, if they still think about you, why are they still gone? Why no text, no call, no effort? That contradiction is soul-breaking, and in this video I'm going to tell you the truth. The kind of truth no one dares to say out loud. The kind that shakes your perspective and makes you see this dynamic with new, undeniable clarity. Because this isn't just about them missing you. This is about the game beneath the silence, the psychology behind the distance, and the power you didn't even realize you had. You've been told to wait, to be patient, to understand their trauma, but no one talks about what it does to you. To constantly be the one understanding, holding space, and slowly eroding your self-worth just to keep someone emotionally comfortable. This isn't a video that's going to tell you to send that last message or hold out hope. This is the truth you needed before you started blaming yourself. Before you started calling their absence love. What you're about to hear will change the way you see yourself, and more importantly, it'll change the way you respond to their silence forever. Because when someone misses you but still stays away, they're not protecting you from themselves, they're protecting themselves from their own growth. And by the end of this video, you'll finally stop seeing their absence as rejection and start seeing it as the gift that's been trying to set you free all along. Keep watching, you're not going back after this. Let's get one thing straight. Just because someone stays away doesn't mean they don't feel something. The human heart is a complicated mechanism, especially when it belongs to someone who has learned that love equals pain. Avoidants are not emotionless, they are not indifferent. In fact, what most people don't understand is that avoidants often feel emotions more intensely than they let on. They've just learned to survive by disconnecting from those feelings. So when you're wondering whether they miss you, the truth is, yes, they often do, sometimes deeply. But missing you doesn't guarantee they'll come back. And this is where the contradiction tears people apart. You see, avoidants are masters at emotional suppression. Their emotional muscle memory is built on avoidance, withdrawal, and detachment, not because they don't care, but because they've learned that closeness equals exposure, and exposure equals pain. It's like touching fire to feel warmth. On some level, they want it. But the fear of getting burned is greater than the desire for comfort. So instead of leaning in, they pull away, even from people who make them feel safe, especially from those who make them feel seen. This is why it's such a trap for the person on the receiving end. You feel this deep connection, you saw real intimacy, and now you're left trying to decode silence. But here's the psychological truth. Avoidants often feel comfort through distance. Distance is where they get their control back. And when they start to miss you, instead of reaching for you, they often pull back even harder because the intensity of missing someone for them feels like weakness. So they double down, they stay silent, and that silence starts to scream in your ears while they convince themselves that they're doing the right thing. Now, does this mean they never cared? No. It means that their emotional blueprint is wired to retreat in moments where someone more secure might lean in. You became meaningful. That meaning activated their fear. So yes, they miss you. But the more they miss you, the more unsafe connection feels. So they stay away, not because they're heartless, but because they've convinced themselves that your closeness is a threat to their emotional safety. And this is the brutal paradox. You think if they miss you, they'll come back. But for an avoidant, missing you is not enough. Longing is uncomfortable, vulnerability feels like a trap. And instead of acting on it, they numb it, suppress it, bury it, and sometimes distract themselves with superficial connections that never quite touch the place you reached in them. That's why closure with an avoidant rarely comes in the form of a conversation. The closure is the silence. The closure is the absence. It's in realizing that no matter how deep the bond, they often choose the familiarity of solitude over the uncertainty of intimacy. So the next time you wonder if they miss you, remember they probably do. But love isn't defined by who misses you when you're gone. Love is defined by who's brave enough to show up while you're still there. Here's what we need to dismantle right now: the belief that their silence somehow means you weren't enough. That their distance is a verdict on your worth. That because they pulled away, something must have been wrong with you. This mindset is not only dangerous, it's completely false. And yet, it's the narrative so many people fall into when dealing with an avoidant. They disappear, and you start questioning everything: your value, your beauty, your intelligence, your entire identity. But what if I told you that their withdrawal had far less to do with your value and everything to do with their fear? Avoidants don't leave because they don't see your value. They leave because they do. You activated something. Something they were not ready to face. Something they never planned on confronting. You were real, present, loving, safe, and in their world, that kind of intimacy feels destabilizing. It threatens the protective armor they've built over years, sometimes decades of emotional self-preservation. Their past taught them that closeness equals danger. So when someone like you shows up and offers vulnerability instead of leaning in, they get triggered. Their emotional reflex is not to embrace it, it's to escape it. That's why you must stop making their retreat personal. It's not a reflection of your inadequacy. It's a reflection of how deep their wounds run. You didn't break them. You just walked into a room inside of them that they've kept locked for years. And rather than face the discomfort of unlocking it, they choose the illusion of safety in distance. They would rather feel in control alone than out of control in love. That doesn't make you the villain. It makes you the mirror. And mirrors are uncomfortable for people who haven't done the inner work. You held up a reflection of what they were capable of feeling, but also what they were terrified of losing. So instead of opening up, they shut down. Instead of getting closer, they vanished. That's not love. It's fear pretending to be logic. And here's where it gets even more complicated. The more secure and emotionally grounded you are, the more likely it is that an avoidant will feel overwhelmed. Why? Because you're not feeding their cycle. You're not chasing, you're not begging, you're not trying to force connection. And to someone who has learned that love only exists through struggle or dysfunction, that calm presence feels foreign. It feels unsafe not because you are unsafe, but because it goes against every script they've memorized about how love is supposed to feel. So when they leave, don't you dare start rewriting your story to accommodate their fear. Don't shrink yourself to fit inside someone's emotional limitations. Don't call it love when it's really just someone running from what they don't know how to hold. Your value was never up for debate. Their eggs, it was not a rejection. It was an inability to receive what they claim to want, but don't yet know how to hold. You are not too much. You were simply the first real thing they encountered in a long time. And real love will always scare the ones who have only ever known survival. Let's talk about the power dynamic that silently formed when an avoidant pulls away. In that moment when they go quiet, disappear, or start creating emotional distance, there's a psychological test happening, whether they realize it or not. And the way you respond to that silence either reinforces their behavior or breaks the cycle entirely. This is why your reaction matters more than you think. Because the avoidant is used to one thing: people chasing after them, people proving their worth, people abandoning themselves in order to stay connected. But the second you stop playing that game, the dynamic shifts. And that shift, it's everything. See, when you choose not to chase, you're not being cold, you're being conscious. You're no longer giving your energy to a person who hasn't shown the emotional maturity to honor it. You're not punishing them, you're respecting yourself, and that level of self-respect respect is unfamiliar terrain for someone who's spent their life in emotional control. When you stop reaching out, when you resist the urge to explain your worth to someone who already saw it but still walked away, you send a message. A silent, powerful, and undeniable message. My value is not up for negotiation. Most people think love is proved by how much you're willing to endure. But that's a lie sold by people who benefit from your self-abandonment. Real love is not about how much you're willing to tolerate. It's about what you're willing to protect. And protecting your peace when someone plays emotional hide and seek is an act of self-love, not spite. Here's what makes this especially hard. Deep down, you know they miss you. You feel it. You remember the moments. You catch yourself wondering if maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for a sign that it's safe to come back. But let's be honest, if someone can't walk toward you on their own without needing you to pull them the entire way, what kind of relationship is that? If they need you to do all the emotional labor, all the reaching, all the fixing, then it's not love. It's dependency wrapped in fear. Letting someone feel your absence is not about playing games. It's about holding space for them to confront their own discomfort. Because only in that silence do they realize what they risked losing. And more importantly, only in that silence do you remember who you were before they made you question it. That's where healing begins. Not in the return, but in the reclaiming. You stop chasing not to make them suffer, but to finally give yourself what you've been giving everyone else. Energy, time, love, presence. You stop proving yourself to someone who saw you and still walked away. You choose to walk forward, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself more. Let them miss you. Let them sit in the silence they created. And if they never come back, good. Because you'll already be walking towards someone who never needed distance to know your worth.